My name is Syed, and I'm a freshman at UT Dallas. I was born into a Muslim family who moved into the US from Bangladesh, and ever since I was young, I had a strained relationship with my parents because of the faith they kind of pressed onto me. I had a strained relationship with my parents because I began questioning Islam at an early age. As I grew older, instead of it answering any questions that I had about life, it just created more. Islam to me consisted little more than scripted prayers that meant almost nothing. I just regurgitated them 5 times a day just to satisfy the requirements of the religion. And the main goal I had from those 5 daily prayers was literally just to be saved from the fires of hell, as it was told to me lots of times. And in the Quran, I think, was something that just caused more frustration and it was just an endless source of memorization for me, because I had to memorize more and more of it to pray, and I never really knew what I was saying. And it just made me really bitter towards the whole concept of God, because anything that I would do to try and get closer to him just caused more frustration. After enough of that frustration, I eventually turned away from Islam and God as a whole. I still believe that there is a higher power of some sort, but my bitterness towards everything and the frustration I was experiencing just kind of turned me off to everything. At the time, I took a step away from having a faith just from a result of all the bitterness and cloudiness I'd been feeling from the frustration before, and it was easier to not think about it and just take a step back and sort of ride through where life would take me and see where I ended up. I remember at this point feeling really devoid of any sort of love. Life at home wasn't the greatest, and life with school and work sort of just became a grind towards nothing, almost without having any sort of an end goal in mind. But then it was through this period of nothingness that I kind of felt, now looking back, is what God started working in me, and I decided to try and seek him out once again. A close friend of mine eventually began to pick up on these distress signals I was giving out, and interestingly, he never really did press me about his faith. I knew he was a Christian at the time, but instead of pressing me about my faith or anything of that sort, he just was there to listen to me and was just a really good friend that I could always turn to in these sorts of situations. A few weeks later, he invited me to come to his church. I was reluctant at first because I knew if my parents found out, then it would be bad. But after going and sort of seeing how his church functioned and worked, I realized that it was way different from anything that I'd been exposed to before. After a few weeks of attending his church, I realized that that's the sort of relationship I really wanted with God, that I just couldn't get in Islam. And I don't want to say converted, but I accepted the fact that Jesus died for me on the cross, and I realized that that's a gift that no one else can give me. On October 26, 2016, I fully committed myself to Christianity, and I realized that Christ was my Savior, and I asked him to forgive me of my sins. Unfortunately, doing so further broke my relationship with my parents, and I hope someday, through my actions and God's will, they'll come to realize what I've realized. But for the time being, I don't regret my decision, and each day only serves to further my walk with God.